warning the rollback on rules is too much, too soon.
This morning, a hopeful new surge in vaccinations amidst an alarming jump in cases.
We're in the life and death race for the virus that is spreading quickly.
President Biden announcing Monday that 90% of U.S. adults will be eligible for vaccines by April 19th, just 3 weeks from now. His task force also doubling the number of pharmacies offering vaccines and launching 12 new federally run mass vaccination sites.
90% of all Americans will be living within 5 miles of a place they can get a shot.
The president simultaneously urging states to pause their reopening as Arkansas becomes just the latest to abandon a mask mandate. The CDC fearful of a possible fourth wave.
I'm going to lose the script, and I'm going to reflect on the recurring feeling I have of impending doom. We have so much to look forward to, but right now I'm scared.
In many areas, the message doesn't seem to be getting through. Sunday was the busiest day at airports in more than a year. This as 31 states are seeing an increase in cases over the last 2 weeks, including some with tougher COVID restrictions like Michigan, Connecticut, and New Jersey.
We cannot let our guards down.
In some states like Texas, Oklahoma, and Georgia, notorious for laxer rules, cases are actually dropping. In the Big Easy, where numbers have stabilized, the brass bands blare at a 24-hour vaccine festival. Louisiana opening eligibility to all adults. And there's more good news. A new CDC study finds both Pfizer and Moderna's vaccines are 90% effective in preventing infection in real-world conditions. The question now, with the country racing to reopen, will vaccines be enough to prevent another catastrophic crush of cases?
And later today, the World Health Organization says it will be releasing its report on the origins of the COVID-19 virus. The WHO chief saying that all hypotheses are on the table. Savannah, back to you.
All right, Sam, thank you. And joining us now, Dr. Ashish Jha, Dean of Brown University's School of Public Health. Dr. Jha, good morning to you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
I wonder if you were struck, as I was, by seeing the CDC director dump the script and look right in the camera and say she had this feeling of impending doom and she was scared. Do you agree? And can you shed some light on that assessment?
Yeah, so I've known Dr. Walensky for a long time, and she is very measured in her words, and so those are important words to hear from her. Look, infections are rising, as we heard, in 31 states. In some states, hospitalizations, about 20 states, hospitalizations are rising. We're not out of the woods. And I think what you heard from Dr. Walensky was, this is not the time to let up. We're making so much progress on vaccinations. We're weeks away from all high-risk people being vaccinated, and probably a month or so away from almost any adult who wants one to be able to get their first shot. We're so close to the finish line. Giving up right now and relaxing all public health standards really is going to lead to a lot of unnecessary infections and deaths.
Well, is it relaxing of public health standards, or is it the variants getting the upper hand? Because, as we know, cases had plateaued a couple of weeks ago at what Dr. Fauci would call an unacceptably high level. Now they're headed up from there, but why?
Yeah, no doubt about it. So it's the variants that are driving the surge. That is definitely true. They are now the UK variant is probably now a majority of infections in the United States. In some states, it's probably 80-90%. Vaccinations are doing a great job of kind of blunting that effect. But the public health relaxation that we're seeing with restaurants filling up, those really are not making it any easier to control the virus. So until we get broad vaccinations, we really should be a bit more careful.
And how do you explain, we just mentioned it in the piece that preceded this interview, that some states that have relaxed their standards, like Texas, Oklahoma, and Florida, actually are seeing case numbers drop. And then you have New York and New Jersey that haven't, and the cases are going up. How do you explain that?
Yeah, so there's several things that are happening at the same time, Savannah. I mean, one certainly is the variants, which are not equally distributed in states. And these variants are much more contagious, right? So that's going to be part of the story. Another part of the story is weather. Up here in the Northeast, it's still pretty cold. There's not a lot of stuff happening outside. So when you look at which states are seeing the bumps, they really are mostly in the northern half of the country, which is colder. And then also, this stuff is temporal, meaning I don't think we're done with this virus. We have seen an uptick in the last few days in Florida. I hope it doesn't turn into something more significant. But we've got to stay careful for at least a little bit longer.
All right, well, I love what your Twitter feed said. Summer will be great. How many get infected now, sick, or die next month is up to us. Dr. Jaw, well said, and we'll leave it there. Thank you so much. And a reminder,